So you want to grow your audience organically on social media, but you're not sure where to get started, or you feel like the growth is just too stagnant. So if you're absolutely starting from zero or you're trying to rebuild, this video is going to be for you. Hey there, my name is Jelena Ostrovska from JelenaOstrovska.com, and I create organic social media content that converts for six-figure female coaches, consultants, and service providers. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down all the organic growth secrets that you have to be implementing, and they're actually simpler than you may think. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, be sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the bell sign below to get notified every single time there are new videos, which is every single week. And I do have some exciting interviews also coming up, so definitely stay tuned for those. So the very first thing that you have to understand, regardless of which platform you're going to want to grow, whether that's going to be for Instagram or for YouTube or for Twitter, Pinterest, you name it. First of all, you actually have to understand what is the purpose of that particular platform, because all the platforms that I have just mentioned, they all serve a different purpose, right? So for example, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, they're all social media platforms, but you kind of treat them a little bit differently, right? Then if you compare it to Pinterest and YouTube and blogging and podcasting, Pinterest is actually not a social media platform. So, and you don't have to be publishing there multiple times a day and anything like that. YouTube is also not the platform to publish, multiple times a day, unless you really want to grow and you are a media company. Then in that case, yes. But if you're a personal brand, and anybody who I have mentioned, a coach, course creator, consultant, social media manager, or service provider, you are going to want to do something that's a little bit more manageable, because usually it's just you who's getting started, or maybe you have a small team, right? So YouTube and podcast and blogging, they are all long-term strategies where, yes, you can publish daily, yes, you can publish multiple times a day, do what works for you, but you're planting seeds on those platforms for, to get the fruits of your labor in months or even years to come, right? And then social media is more for the faster growth. So now let's get into what you actually need to be keeping in mind and doing on social media to grow. And now, just to give you an example of what I have, been able to do. So I have well over 1,000 followers on LinkedIn. I have, so many different connections over there. I have over 2,000 followers on Instagram, all grown organically. I have not used any sort of paid advertising or anything like that. I've grown to nearly 2,000 followers on Twitter. I have over, I believe in total, it's about 5,000 followers on Facebook, on my Facebook business page. So I've grown so many different platforms. I have over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube as well. So it does take some effort to grow each, but the principles always remain the same for regardless of which platform you're going to be growing on. First of all, know who you are. So who you are as a person, what kind of niche are you trying to get yourself into? Because you cannot just be talking about everything and anything under the sun. You have to have a clear purpose and a clear path to how you're going to show up, how you're going to portray your brand. Are you going to be a fun person? Are you going to be outgoing? Are you going to be more of a, closed up introvert? Are you going to be, like a fun with humorous personality? Or are you going to be more, reserved and serious? And, define like who you are as a person in general, because that's going to be important on how you're going to be showing up on social media platforms. Now, step number 2, know who you want to attract. Okay, so it actually might be very different from the person that you are. Generally, when you're getting started, and I feel like with me having background in network marketing, affiliate marketing, and, coaching, a lot of the times we're working on attracting people who are either similar to us or people who are, I always like to say that your target audience a lot of the times is going to be you yesterday. So you are helping those people overcome the problems that you had a little while ago, right? And it's not always going to be the case, right? So for me personally, now that I have shifted my services, I offer social media management, I offer content management, I offer, consulting for social media. It's not always going to be me yesterday, right? So me working with six-figure coaches and consultants is not necessarily me yesterday, right? It's not necessarily, if I'm going to be working with a bigger company that, they may be like a big agency, and, I'm not a big agency. I was not a big agency yesterday, but, the knowledge that I have and the experience that I have working for myself and for years and working throughout, different businesses in the last couple of years, I know that can really serve that particular company, because a lot of the times, companies that are focused on makeup and skincare, and honestly, any company out there, if you look at Apple, they're not expert at social media. Like Steve Jobs was not expert at social media. He just had the product idea. So those kind of companies, they always need experts that have your expertise, right? So for example, I could potentially go to Fenty Beauty and pitch my social media services if they were just starting out, right? So that's just something you have to keep in mind. But definitely know who you are trying to attract, because you're going to have to tweak your messaging on social media to the people that you are working on attracting. Number 3, what makes you stand out? And now I will say this, the key factor, or like the X factor that's going to make you stand out amongst everybody else, is ultimately going to be your story and how you show up, right? So for me personally, like, I'm known as the Russian girl whose accent is, used to be very thick. It's not as thick of an accent anymore, but it's still there. So a lot of the times people come up to me and they say, hey, like, I do hear that accent. Where are you from? So for me, like, I'm not trying to be somebody that I'm not. I'm not trying to look like I'm an American, which I'm not, and I'm probably never going to be, because I'm always going to have my own personality, my own style of thinking, my own style of, eating and portraying information and saying things. Americans are probably not going to say things the way I say, and I'm sometimes even shook that they even understand me, but you have to figure out what is going to be your X factor for standing out on social media. So either it's going to be some sort of unique story, and back when I first started, I thought that I had a unique story, that I didn't go to college, I didn't go to university, I just graduated from high school and I got right into business straight away. These days, it's actually not as unique, because everybody's literally doing that, and especially with the pandemic still going underway, a lot of people just decided to go into business and figure out a better way, and internet evolving. Now it's just a normal thing. Nobody really wants to be talking about that. Like, I still share that story, but in the beginning I was more focused on that story than I am on that today, which a lot of people still think it's unique, but I'm like, well, everybody's doing that, right? But find out what is your unique factor. Step number 4 is actually one of the most important, if not the most important ones, is actually creating great content that you feel aligned with. Because the thing is, there are so many people that are creating content, there are so many people that are trying to work hard, hustle and bustle and do all those things, and it's not necessarily needed. So I will say one thing, and I just had this conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and I was like, you know what, after years of business, like, we've done so many different things. We've done network marketing, affiliate marketing, we've done coaching, consulting, freelancing, done for you services, done with you services. So we have a lot of that experience. We went to events, we've created content on virtually any platform. I mean, when you're in the business for several years and you experiment and you figure out what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, because when I first started, I just thought that I was going to make, some money to then go to college, right? So that's literally how I treated network marketing. I was like, I just want to make a bunch of money, go to university, and then figure out what I want to do with my life. That did not happen. So network marketing for me was really just a kickstart to what I wanted to do eventually, which is what I do right now, right? So I didn't really know what I wanted to do in the beginning, but here we are, right? So, but creating content is going to be one thing that you are going to position yourself to stand out. And ultimately, like, not only that, it has to be consistent. You can't just be creating content every now and then. I mean, I have been creating content on social media since 2014. Started off on Facebook, just building up my personal profile, building up my audience, networking with people and stuff like that. But ultimately, if you're not showing up, I mean, the moment I stopped showing up with my content, and I've had moments, I mean, obviously since 2014, you better believe that I was not always consistent. Like, I consistently stood with content and publishing, and I did not quit the business. I didn't quit, the social media world and just like dip and then nobody's ever saw me. Like, I'm still here, obviously, showing up on this video, talking to you, talking to the camera, but creating your own content is going to be the most important thing. Even if you take breaks, even if you stop and then you recharge and get back at it, it's going to really be the defining factor of how people are going to perceive you, whether they're going to follow you or not, whether they're going to buy from you or not. So I would really say that if you are working and growing your audience, you have to focus probably about 70%, at least 70% of your effort onto content marketing, because there have been different content pieces that have helped me go, mini viral, or like viral for me, how people say. I've had numerous, content pieces that reached so many people internationally, not just, locally in Europe, but I've been able to reach so many people in the United States, in Canada, in Australia, in New Zealand, all those different countries, just because I've been able to show up. So I do recommend, no matter what it is that you do, publish at least one piece of content every single day, just so you show up and you plant seeds and you always stay top of mind of the people that are following you or just starting to follow you. Because a lot of the times people are just watching and they're not even saying anything. So you really get to position yourself in a way where they're not going to forget who you are, right? And there's a phrase by Steve Martin, who's one of my absolute favorite actors. He said, "Be so good they can't ignore you." And me and my friend recently were bringing that up, and she was like, "You know what? It's actually a little bit different. Be so loud they can't ignore you." And these days, a lot of people, obviously there are so many different content creators these days, but at the same time, not everybody is consistent. A lot of people just try it for a month and then they disappear. So it is your duty and your responsibility to be showing up and being as loud as you can, because platforms like LinkedIn, they don't have enough content creators. So there's like a major opportunity for content creators to show up and build a very engaged audience. And I've seen a lot of people do that if LinkedIn is, your type of vibe. So great content, like I spend so much time on this, and I do have, different resources and courses and programs that I have created around content marketing and how to actually become great at it. So definitely check the links in the description box and, check it out. I know it's going to help you out a ton. So, and last but not least, step number 5 is networking. So you have to be going out into the places where your ideal audience is hanging out. And a lot of the times I get this question, how do I network? We're still not doing a whole lot of in-person events, because it was so easy to meet people when you go to an in-person event and there's just, hundreds or even thousands of people walking around and you can go and meet anybody. So you kind of treat social media the same way. But number 1 tip is make sure that you go and leverage other people's audiences. So there are already people that have built audiences before you, that have those ideal clients that you are going after, basically. So that may be Facebook groups, that may be leaders accounts, and think, like whether Tony Robbins is going to be your guy or whether it's going to be somebody completely different. Maybe Oprah is going to have your audience, right? So go into the communities, and you do have to do some research. You do have to figure out some market research and how to find those groups, how to find those hashtags, how to find those people, and then, how to make them come to you, right? But show up in the places where people are already hanging out and your audience is going to grow way faster. And that concludes this video. I really hope this was valuable. If it was, drop a like down below in under this video. Make sure that you leave a comment. Let me know if you enjoyed those tips, or if you have anything else to add, or if you have any specific questions about any social media platform or any other platforms like YouTube or Pinterest or anything like that. I'll be more than happy to do a video about it. And with that being said, I appreciate you. Go ahead, hit subscribe if you are new to the channel. And with that being said, I appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.